Heyman leaves Breakker. Shocking off-air moment. Bron left alone. Fans stunned. Raw after chaos.
What if Paul Heyman didn't just leave, but actually made a decision that changes everything we thought we knew about Bron Breakker?
And more importantly, why did it happen the moment the cameras stopped rolling? Because the real question isn't what we saw on Raw, it's what we didn't see after Raw ended. So picture this. The arena lights are still glowing, the crowd is still buzzing, people are slowly filing out thinking the night is over. WWE RAW has already gone off the air, commentary has signed off, the final graphics have rolled, and just like always, fans think the story pauses there until next week. But wrestling fans should know by now, nothing ever really ends when the show ends. Because somewhere in that leftover chaos of the arena, something strange happened. Something that didn't make it to TV. Something that wasn't part of the script people expected.
Paul Heyman, a man who has built his entire career on loyalty, manipulation, survival, and timing, was seen walking away from Bron Breakker.
Not talking. Not arguing. Not even looking back the way you'd expect someone to do if they were just heading backstage. Just leaving. And the way he did it? That's what's got everyone talking.
Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions like, oh, it's just business or it's just storytelling, slow down for a second.
Because the vibe wasn't normal.
This wasn't the usual Heyman smirk where you can't tell if he's proud, scheming, or already 10 steps ahead of everyone else.
No.
This felt colder.
Almost like a switch flipped. And if you're Bron Breakker in that moment, imagine standing there after everything. The match is done, adrenaline still running through your veins, the crowd noise still ringing in your ears, and the one person who's supposed to be guiding you, backing you, shaping your path, just walks away like you're not even part of the equation anymore. That's not just awkward. That's psychological warfare in wrestling form.
And here's where things get even more interesting.
Because Bron Breakker isn't some rookie you can ignore. This is a guy built like a storm warning.
Explosive, intense, and already being positioned as one of the next big forces in WWE. So when someone like Paul Heyman attaches himself to a rising star, people assume it means one thing: instant elevation.
But what if that assumption is exactly what WWE wants you to believe, right before pulling the rug out? Let's talk about Heyman for a second, because you can't understand this moment without understanding him. This is the same man who stood beside Brock Lesnar when chaos followed him everywhere. The same man who guided Roman Reigns into the Tribal Chief era, one of the most dominant character shifts in modern wrestling history. And every single time, Heyman doesn't just manage. He engineers moments.
He doesn't accompany talent, he reshapes them. So when he shows up next to Bron Breakker, people immediately assume, oh, this is the next project.
But projects don't usually end with abandonment after the cameras stop rolling. Unless, the abandonment is the point. Now let's rewind this in your mind. Raw goes off air. The final match is over. The tension from the main event still lingers.
Fans are either celebrating, frustrated, or confused depending on what just happened. Bron Breakker is at ringside, still in that post-match haze.
And then Heyman starts moving. No long speech. No emotional moment.
No classic Heyman dramatic pause where he builds suspense like he's narrating the end of the world.
Just movement. A turn. A walk.
And distance growing between him and Bron Breakker.
And the weirdest part? Bron doesn't immediately follow. Think about that.
In wrestling storytelling, when a manager walks away, the wrestler usually reacts instantly. Confusion, anger, confrontation, something. But here, it was like Bron was stuck between instinct and disbelief. Like his brain was trying to catch up with what his eyes were seeing.
And honestly, that's the part fans are replaying over and over again. Because what does it mean when Paul Heyman, of all people, leaves you behind like that? Some fans are already saying betrayal. Others are calling it a lesson. A few are even suggesting it's part of a bigger long-term story where Heyman is testing Bron Breakker's independence. But let's be real for a second. Heyman doesn't do simple lessons. If he's involved, there's always layers. Always.
And here's where it gets even more uncomfortable.
Because if this is a setup, then Bron Breakker might be standing at the edge of something much bigger than just losing a mentor.
He might be walking into the moment where he either becomes a star on his own, or becomes another name that couldn't survive without guidance.
That's the harsh truth of WWE storytelling. It's not just about strength. It's not just about talent.
It's about timing, positioning, and who is standing next to you when the lights go out.
And in this case, when the lights went out, Heyman wasn't standing there anymore. Now I want you to imagine being in the arena at that exact moment. The fans who noticed it probably didn't even process it right away.
You're too busy talking about the match, checking your phone, heading toward exits, maybe grabbing a drink.
Then someone says, "Yo, did Heyman just leave Bron like that?" And suddenly everyone rewinds it in their head. That's when it hits. Oh, that actually happened. And now it spreads. Clips get posted. People zoom in. Angles get analyzed.
Wrestling Twitter starts doing what it does best, turning a 10-second moment into a full-blown theory war. Some people say it's a sign Heyman sees something missing in Bron.
Others think Bron is about to snap and go on a solo run.
And of course, there's the classic theory that this is all leading to Heyman aligning with someone even bigger.
Because let's not forget, Paul Heyman always lands on his feet. Always. But Bron Breakker?
This might be the first real moment where he doesn't have a safety net.
And that's where things get interesting emotionally.
Because if you strip away all the wrestling drama, all the storyline speculation, what you're left with is a young powerhouse standing alone after being attached to one of the most influential minds in wrestling history.
That's not just storyline tension. That's character pressure. And WWE knows exactly what they're doing with that kind of imagery. Now let's slow it down for a second. Because there's something almost cinematic about the idea of Heyman just walking away. No explosion. No betrayal promo. No dramatic in-ring confrontation. Just silence and distance.
Sometimes the quiet moments in wrestling hit harder than the loud ones.
And this?
This felt quiet in a way that's almost unsettling. Like the story didn't end, it just paused in the worst possible place.
And you know what makes it even more interesting? The fact that we don't have a clear answer yet. No backstage statement. No official explanation. No immediate follow-up segment on WWE programming confirming what it meant. Just silence. And silence in wrestling usually means one thing: they want you talking. So let's talk about Bron Breakker for a second. This is a guy who's been labeled as the future for a reason.
Speed, aggression, intensity, all the physical tools you could ask for.
But the one thing WWE always tests with future main eventers is this: can they carry a story alone? Because eventually, everyone gets tested without backup. And this might be that moment starting to form. And Heyman, whether intentionally or not, might have just pressed that button.
Now I know some fans are frustrated.
They want clear answers. They want WWE to spell everything out.
But this is one of those rare moments where confusion is actually the product.
They want you unsure. They want you debating. They want you replaying that moment thinking, wait, why did that happen like that? And if you're doing that right now, then yeah, it worked.
But here's the twist nobody wants to say out loud yet.
What if this isn't about Heyman rejecting Bron Breakker? What if it's about Heyman no longer needing him? Because in wrestling